Kyle Pitts, Jeff, can't seem to, get anything right this offseason. So the latest with him, Tight End University. This has been a, little summit for tight ends founded by Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and Greg Olsen, where all the tight ends gather for a couple days. They talk about the trade of the craft, help bring up the younger athletes, etc., etc. But Kyle Pitts was absent from Tight End U, and that kind of caused some uproar on X, on Reddit, or whatever. He obviously didn't partake in OTAs with that undisclosed foot injury. Jeff, do you think that this is a bad sign that Kyle Pitts skipped out of Tight End U?
I don't, because if he actually is hurt, this actually just lends credence to the fact that he was hurt during minicamp, right? Like if you can't participate, a month ago, whatever it was, and you do actually have an injury, I think this just kind of verifies that he did, because he has been he's participated in his first 3 or 4 years, whatever it was. Like he's participated in every other year, and I only know that because I went back to verify. Because every year they put out a list of people that attended, and he's been on the list every single year, right? So this is a guy that has at least put forth some sort of effort to try to be at least, I don't know, even if it's putting on the facade of wanting to be an NFL tight end, he's at least done some of those little things, right? And so I know people were really upset. I know it took social media by fire the other day here in Atlanta when it turns out he was not on the list of people that participated. But this is the first year in the league that he's been here that he didn't participate. And so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he actually is hurt, right? Maybe Ben Kurt, maybe all of those other people who talked about this was just what happens before you get traded. Maybe they were actually all wrong, and he actually did get hurt somehow. It is a nagging injury or whatever it is. And we all know for NFL players, feet are really important. That's Julio Jones. I mean, that toe injury lagged on for him for damn near 5 to 6 years and essentially ended his career. And so for me, if this is going to be a great breakout year for Kyle, and by the way, I'm on the trade Kyle Pitts bandwagon, right? So like, I would love for them to fucking get rid of him. So, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and going to say that this just to me tells me that he's hurt because he's done it every other year, and it wouldn't make sense for him not to want to go rub elbows and learn from a Hall of Famer like Travis Kelce, like Gronk, who was there. George Kittle is going to be a Hall of Famer, right? Like you're talking 3 of arguably the 5 best tight ends of all time were there at this thing. It would make no sense for him not to be there if he was healthy. It's not like reports came out and he was over in Turks and Caicos, to not be there. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I actually think it actually verifies what Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot said, that he was actually injured and is rehabbing. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one, as much as it fucking hurts to do so.
Yeah, I mean, look, you made a really good point. You brought up a nice data point that wasn't really shared on any of those sites, that he was attending every other year. So it's not like he didn't want to be there, but for his persona and like the sloppiness on the field, I can understand why people are kind of like having that rash reaction. Like, how could he not learn from all those guys and, rub elbows with a Hall of Famer like Gronk and Kelce? Because he certainly has a long ways to go in his career. Kyle Pitts has flashed. We've seen it, Jeff. 4-game stretch. We talk about it all the time on this show in 2024, where he wasn't just going for a Pro Bowl level tight end. He would have probably been an all-pro if he kept up that 4-game stretch. But then all of a sudden, that Tampa game was everything. The moment he had that lackadaisical fumble there, he went into the doghouse. Like that is where his season was effectively over. And it sucks because his best game ended up being a scar to him. It was like the worst thing that could have possibly happened. And yeah, I really want the guy to do good. We see the flash. Like I hope that he just gets his head on straight and develops this crazy chemistry with 9 and they come out and set the world on fire. But I mean, we've been seeing this every freaking year, man.
I mean, and for me, I would even rebuttal, he's attended every other year. What good did it do? Right? Like, it hasn't done him any good. Like, he hasn't put together a consistent year since his rookie year. So, ultimately for me, it's not like it's done very good. His whole, and we've talked about this relentlessly. His issues are his own. He is the Vic Beasley of tight ends. He doesn't like playing in the NFL. He likes the limelight and the money. He doesn't like the work. And ultimately, going to Nashville to hobnob with Taylor Swift and all the other people that were there for this thing wasn't going to make him any better. So I think people upset about it just need to kind of get a life and get over it. He's attended every other year. Hasn't made him a better tight end. Hasn't turned him into the unicorn we thought he was. So, ultimately for me, it's just, to me, something else for people to bitch about.
Jeff, let's play a hypothetical game. Let's say the guy just explodes this year. Let's say he finally has that year where he gets 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, all pro, whatever. And it's certainly in range for him. He has the talent to do it. Will he do it? Probably not, but he could. If that happens, Jeff, do you see a scenario where the Falcons tag and trade him and don't extend him because they're scared that he is about the money and that the moment that he gets handed that second contract, $20 million a year, $25 million a year, or whatever, or the record-setting tight end number, like, do you think the Falcons are afraid to do that?
I'll answer your question with a question, which I hate doing. Why would they do that? Why is year 6 going to be any different than years 1 through 4 or years 1 through 5? Right? Because you gave him more money, so now all of a sudden he's going to want to play. Like, for me, that's why this whole thing just never made sense for me. Like, he has shown you who he is. And even if he does come out and ball in year 5, it doesn't change what happened the first 4. He didn't just all of a sudden flip on the light switch and go, yep, I'm here, I want to play. So for me, that's why, and again, as we've talked about, you guys can go back and look at it. If he does ball out, he's going to come close to the top of the tight end market. And there are just too many guys that have to get paid over the next 3, 4, 5 years to even worry about that being a tight end. And there's nothing, and I know this is contentious with people because they really want to believe in Kyle Pitts. There is nothing that he brings to the table that Charlie Warner doesn't. Nothing. He doesn't do anything special. He hasn't stretched the field. He hasn't been a mismatch on anybody. He's another guy. And he's just, to me, I don't care what he does this year. That's not going to change my mind of him because of what he's done the first 4 years. And too many times in sports, we see those guys who come out, they have those great contract years, and they go right back to the bullshit they were doing before they got the contract. And I just don't want the Falcons to be a part of that.
So for Charlie Warner specifically, I think that Pitts has the potential to, be way better than him. But to your point, like, his inconsistency, yeah, Charlie Warner and him are and it sucks because the guy is just so freaking Pitts is just so freaking talented that we're even having this conversation with Charlie Warner, who's a kind of like a backup level tight end. Like, they shouldn't be in the same sentence, in my opinion. But Warner did play well for us. He's good at run blocking, obviously. He comes in on those downs. So, like, he is a more complete tight end today than what Pitts is. But if Pitts, because the problem with Pitts, Jeff, he's not big enough to block. Like, Cam Jordan, the second that we drafted this guy, said the guy, the guy's too skinny. Like, he made a comment about his ass being too small. Can't block, and he's too slow to, get by receivers. Now, in his rookie year, he was doing well. They were creating mismatches for him. But after that injury he sustained in, I believe, 2022, he really didn't have that same explosion that he was beating corners with. So, like, not fast enough to play corner and too small to play that traditional, like, inline tight end role. Like, I don't know. I mean, if he certainly has the ability to be a better pass-catching tight end than Warner, but I don't think he'll ever be the run blocker that Warner is.
He was never been a run blocker, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's never been his thing. It wasn't his thing in Florida. He was supposed to be a mismatch nightmare, and he's never been that other than his rookie year. You got to give him his rookie year. I get it. But he's never. I'm tired of the word potential, because that's all anybody can ever talk about with Kyle Pitts. Well, he has shown the potential. He's flashed. He's done okay, but he's never been consistent. And in the NFL, if you're going to get paid the big dollars, you got to be consistent. And he's never been consistent. So why am I even going to entertain giving him a big dollar contract? Now, if he wants to come back next year and he wants to play for $5 million, $10 million a year, he's going to make 11 this year. He wants to play for $11 million next year. Cool. Let's talk about it. But I'm not going to entertain any foolish number for a guy that's never been consistent. I'm not going to consistently pay you if you're not going to consistently play.
So, bottom line, it looks like we're heading for a divorce here. Like, there's probably very limited outcomes where Kyle Pitts is in a Falcons uniform in 2026. Because, to your point, he explodes. Terry Fontenot, raw. They're not going to forget what happened every other year. And then, we have a lot more people to pay. But, Jeff, even if he has like a so-so year, let's say like 800 yards, 8 touchdowns or whatever, like maybe a little under a Pro Bowl level, I think he walks. I don't think we're going to, offer him any. I think he'll probably get more on the open market than what we're willing to pay, and he'll probably look for a change of scenery. But that's probably the best thing that could happen for us if we, protect ourselves from ourselves at that point and not hand the guy a crazy contract.
And they're not going to tag him. You're not going to give him $20 million a year. You're just not. So, this will be his last year in the Falcons uniform. That's why I think sometime between now and the trade deadline, he'll get traded. We'll be done with it. We'll move on, and he'll go get his opportunity to go somewhere else and hopefully be the guy that we all know he can be.
Jeff, the best scenario, would be really cool if we're just clicking on all cylinders and Pitts is playing well too. And imagine someone just, at the trade deadline just sees how well the guy's playing and gives us a ridiculous pick for him. Like that would be really cool.
100%. I think that's probably the best case scenario involving Kyle Pitts.
I think, didn't we do something like that with Mohamed Sanu? I felt like we got a second rounder from the Patriots mid-season for an aging Sanu. So like deals like that could happen. I mean, at the time when we did that, I was stunned. I was like, how did we fleece Belichick like that and get a second rounder? But then we go turn around and trade a second rounder for Hayden Hurst, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Just different regime though. So I'm not gonna. That's a different regime. Terry didn't have anything to do with that, but that was kind of like, what the hell is going on? Why would we trade a second for Hurst, who obviously didn't really do much with Baltimore? So that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Flight Path. Thank you all for subscribing. Really appreciate your guys' support. If you ever have an idea for a segment, let us know. Drop it in our DMs on Twitter. You can follow me at AD_FlightPath. You can find Jeff on Twitter at JBen_FlightPath. Really appreciate your guys' support. We'll be probably back around this similar time next week. It's July 4th. So everyone have a great weekend, and thanks again for following along.